Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the stock market update video. And today we have a lot to talk about. So I was a bit busy, so I wasn't able to record right after the market, but let's get to it. So we have broken the 360 support. Now we're heading straight to this 357 support. Right when we closed at the market, we pretty much closed right on it. And you can see we've been testing it after hours as well. Right at this 357. So far we bounced out of it, but like I said yesterday on that bounce, where was that? After hours bounce that we had over here on that support zone. That doesn't matter until we change the structure of the chart on the bounce. So if we don't get an hourly chart where we get a big enough bounce, where we can scout a higher low for an hourly trend change, then the structure of the chart didn't change at all. So as long as we're pretty much trending down at this 12 EMA with the hourly charts, bulls have not done any offense. So we want to see bulls hold this 357, because if we don't, go to the daily, we're very close to breaking this support right here at this 354.71. That is roughly, let's take a look, just shy of 0.9% away. So that is a weekly support, meaning go to the weekly chart. If we break that, then the equilibrium tightening range that we've been talking about would be out of the picture. So because if we break below this pivot right here, that's a weekly downtrend confirm, which is very significant because weekly trends takes a long time to shape up. And so if we have a weekly downtrend confirm, then the overall bigger picture of our weekly charts may start to shift a little bit more bearish, because then we go to the monthly. We made the monthly bull flag may get negated if we start to go a little bit lower, because if you see, if we do break that weekly support, we're only another couple percent away from breaking that 0.382% retracement. So that's the monthly bull flag at the moment. So if that breaks, then the monthly bull flag is gone, and the potential of it being a bigger picture tightening range now in the monthly chart will increase. If I'm not saying we're going to go all the way down here at 288, but the ideal of it is that if we do get that weekly downtrend, they'll get a little bit more follow through, and we may potentially come down a little bit lower, is the idea. So, I mean, before that happens, we don't want to be guessing. So let's see if this weekly pivots gets broken first. It's the very first step for bears to gain even more momentum after roughly a 5% drop. So very key. This 354.71, super key right here. Although the SPY already broken it, so there's two sides of the coin right now. Bears can say that SPY has broken it, so QQQ will probably follow and break below that. Bulls can also argue that, well, if QQQ does not break this weekly support, SPY is not going to go any more further. So those are two sides of the coin, and we'll have to see if QQQ ends up joining SPY, because QQQ is the leader. So I'm leaning more towards, where QQQ breaks, it's going to be the side that ends up breaking. So if QQ ends up holding this level, it's not going to go much lower, and then we likely can still get that tiny range because we didn't break the prior pivot low. We can still potentially tighten up into October. But if QQ does break this low, then SPY is going to go even lower. So yeah, so that's the key we'll be looking at, and where everyone will be looking at as well at that level. And near-term support, we're also sitting right on it. This 357 zone, pretty much right. You can see all the support resistance over here. 4-time rejection, support, another bounce. So this would act as some form of support right at this spot. So if bulls don't play defense here, through that, the only defense left is close to this weekly pivot support. See, the bulls may be waiting for a daily oversold on the RSI. We're getting pretty close. We're currently at 35. So if we do flush down to close to 354, maybe just a couple pennies shy above it, and bulls decide to play defense there, it could be a chance. That could be a scenario as well. You know, we just kind of get the 355 and bulls, and this RSI gets daily oversold, which we haven't gotten oversold in a very long time. Let's see how long it's been. And it's been a very long time, actually. So all the way back to September 30th, 2022 was the last time we were daily oversold. So if we do get to daily oversold, a lot of bulls will likely be buying that area, so which coincides right above the weekly support around that area. We may get to RSI, 31 or 32, but sometimes you get front run. So we'll see. It doesn't have to get below 30. So we'll see how tomorrow ends up shaping up. My take is that if we do get really near it, we'll very likely get a bounce. Doesn't mean we're going to come all the way up here, but the initial, 1% or 0.5 or at least a slight bounce here. Bulls are going to play defense. Then we'll have to see if we can get the hourly trend change back to the bulls for more follow through on the upside. But what I want to see is an initial bounce big enough where we can potentially change the hourly trend. Otherwise, weekly trend is in danger. So we'll see about that. Let's take a look here. Do we have any kind of trend lines following here with this 3? So this one weekly here, this weekly support, and this weekly support, we're pretty much just on it as well. We're a little bit over it. You can see the visual guy here is a tiny range. So pretty much bulls just need to show up here. And we could flush through it and get a bottom wick and bounce into the afternoon and end up closing above it for the end of the week. So just Friday's tomorrow. So that's all we got. Bulls better show up tomorrow. Hold this level. Otherwise, we'll see about that. So tomorrow's going to be pretty interesting. Take a look at SPY. SPY has broken that, as you guys can see, and what I talked about earlier. So bear's argument is that SPY has broken the weekly support, now in a weekly downtrend. So QQQ may do that as well. I like to take QQQ as the leader, so I want to see QQQ breaking it. Then I would say, okay, then bears are winning. But there's still a good chance QQQ can hold, and then SPY would just able to hold this bottom level as well, and actually bounce from here. For the daily charts, pretty much right above this level where this 430 zone is, right there. There's not a lot of support between where we are currently right now and this 40-30 zone, other than this pivot bottom right here. So this level can also hold as well, and if not, we're coming back down to 340, which is not very far away. Yeah, 0.4%, not that far away. Other than that, SPY is also getting pretty close to oversold on a daily 33. And let's take a look at the history. The last time that happened was September 27th, 2022. So it's been a whole year. So we don't get oversold on the daily that often. So if that when it happens, usually bulls play some form of bounce at least. Obviously, it doesn't every time we hit 30 it bounces, right? It's not such doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes they get to 25, sometimes they get to the lower 20s, right? This year we got to 27. So yeah, but the idea is that it's got to 24. Yeah, see, even in the bear market here, we don't get a lot of oversold on the daily that much. 24. This was probably closest 30 before the bounce. Yeah. So we will see. Yeah, after Jerome's comment yesterday, he's more hawkish. So we had a 2-day sell off, and we'll have to see how Friday ends up going. But I'd still want to see 0 signs of bounce at the moment. And you can see the RSI on the hourly is quite beat up. So when we do get an hourly, let's say we get a gap down right to 430, it's a good chance we'll get a bounce initially. And we'll see how big that bounce is. So we get a big enough bounce, then we can potentially change the hourly trend back to bull's favor and potentially set a temporary bottom. So I mean, we're going to come all the way up here. But if we bounce, fill this gap, we may still come back down. It just depends on how we trade next week here on these levels. Let's take a look at Tesla. holding actually pretty darn well. You can see pretty much went completely sideways, while QQQ made a up down and then went sideways and then had another leg down and made the low of the day. So Tesla has been relative strength for the last couple of days, but it still can't negate overall market weakness, even though it was relative strength for the last 2 days. So it also confirmed a daily downtrend and filled its gap. But for most other tech stocks, so once QQQ, let's say QQQ bounces tomorrow, we may get some of a relief bounce as well. Potentially retest that 263 level. As long as it holds above this structure, of all the volumes where it traded, we bounce back here. It's still okay for me, based on how it's still relative strength overall on Tesla. And might see form a. Let's see here. Only 2 touches here, pretty clear. But let's see if it comes back up. Get another 3 touch. Then this could be a valid equilibrium forming up as well. Big move up, big move down, get smaller. Let's see if it tightens up into October. But as of now, it's 2 touches. Just use it as a visual guide overall and see if it becomes more valid over time. So Nvidia has been relatively weak for 3 weeks, and we have dropped 18%. And it's not nowhere near close to oversold on the weekly, because look how overbought we are on the weekly before. So let's go to the daily. Daily also approaching oversold. So you can see we have not been oversold since October 2020, around that time as well. It's been a while. And for Nvidia, I don't know if bulls are going to be buying the dip after oversold, but usually they do after such a long year of not being oversold. The thing is that we have broken this uptrending support line. And who knows, maybe we just come back up straight to it tomorrow and this would just be a fake out, right? A fake break. But we are still above. Go to the weekly, we're still above the pivot. Right there. It's just like QQQ. QQQ is still above this low. So this is just one straight move. So it's not a weekly downtrend confirmed or anything yet. And it's still in a weekly uptrend, surprisingly, even though it dropped this much. There's a big move up, big move down, weekly uptrend confirmed. This drop is still above this pivot. So it's still a weekly uptrend. So we can still save this tomorrow because there's a weekly candle, right? So we got still Friday left. If it ends up closing above here, then we're still in the uptrending line. And yeah, we'll see about that. But Nvidia definitely relative weakness for 3 weeks. It makes sense after such a strong move. Being weak at the top of his range is pretty normal, especially when the overall market is weak as well. So yeah, no signs of fake outs. As you guys can see, hourly trend have never confirmed a hourly uptrend back to bull's favor. So we'll stick to the hourly trend for our guide. As long as bulls don't confirm an hourly uptrend, it will continue to head lower. But we're very, very close to 404. We may hit that tomorrow morning, and then let's see if we get a V shape or not. Otherwise, the weekly chart's a little bit in trouble for bulls if we don't get some bull action tomorrow. And same thing with Apple. See, we're getting a bit iffy here for a lot of stock, pretty much sitting on lots of supports. Same thing with this uptrending mirror looking line support. Apple right on it. And as well, trading right on it. So that weekly candle is going to look the same as well. So we want to see that bulls play defense pretty much right here. And if not, then we make it a weekly break. And this Monday's low, 171.96. If that breaks, that's a weekly downtrend confirmed for Apple. So we'll see if that this level ends up breaking right here. So if we break this low, that's a weekly downtrend confirmed. So now we are still about probably 1% away. Yeah, 1.1% away. So not that far away. So bulls, I want to see them show up tomorrow and play defense. Amazon went from a daily uptrend hitting 52 high to a waterfall. And there was a couple of news on bad news on Amazon. I think it was yesterday. And Amazon is usually the last one to pump for all the big mega cap techs. So remember when I was talking about that Amazon has not confirmed a daily uptrend while everyone has, close to over here. And then Amazon ended up pumping and confirming a daily uptrend. And then the market rolled over. So yeah. Amazon is usually the last one to pump. So that's a sign we can look at. Often potentially that market is going to go head a bit lower. And Jerome just decided to go more hawkish. So we get an extra 2 days of this, of that plus this. Now we are shipping up a pretty ugly weekly candle. No weekly downtrend yet because it's just one straight move. We made a new high, right? If we didn't make a new high, then that's a weekly downtrend confirmed. But we made a new high. So it's just one A to B move. Just no downtrend yet. Now we're in the weekly neutral trend after going from a weekly uptrend. Now we have big enough room where on any bounces, bears can still confirm that weekly downtrend after the bounce. Size of the bounce is going to determine that for us, but we are pretty much close to all the support here. Let's see how many times we have bounced off of this 130 zone, all these lower wicks. So very likely we may get a bounce here as well, because bulls better be playing some defense at 130. Yeah, same thing for a lot of other tech stocks. Google, not like Amazon, but it's still a substantial drop of 6%. And let's go to the weekly chart. So we are broken back below this structure. So you know how every time we go up, we either go sideways, we go up, break a new structure, we go up, sideways. Now we're back below this structure. So that looks like a potential head and shoulders for me. Take a look on the weekly here. Yeah, so you can see this right shoulder goes above. Now we've broken below the structure, we're back to this side. So we need to potentially bounce and then form that head and shoulders pattern. Doesn't mean we're going to confirm it. If we do confirm it, then we are breaking back even lower structure. That will go from a weekly uptrend to a weekly downtrend. That's what the psychology of head and shoulders is. But we'll see if Google going to hold this teal looking line, EMA 12, right here. Seeing all these bounces on the weekly charts. We are very close to it. So that should be where bulls need to play some defense as well. We'll see. Microsoft is relative strength today. So very indecision candle though, even though we closed -0.4, still really outperformed QQQ. See, in the morning, it was relative strength. It's a move here, but QQQ kept dropping close to end of day, so it gave some of it back. Look here. So we're still above this pivot, right? Even though the uptrending line is not as pretty as it was. We can adjust this a little bit. See, go to that red candle, potentially. So the idea of the tiny range is still there. We'll draw this tomorrow after the Friday candle closes, so we have a better weekly candle to draw on. But the idea of the weekly chart is still there. Tiny range, you can see bounce, and we'll see where this is going to close tomorrow on the weekly. So big move up, big move down, gets tighter and tighter. And because we have not broken this pivot yet, this Monday, August 14 pivot is still in a weekly uptrend. So we'll see if that happens. And if it breaks below that, we will confirm a weekly downtrend. So that would be more red flags, because if Microsoft does that, the other 5 would have very likely also confirmed a weekly downtrend, because Microsoft would be dragging down QQQ, and QQQ will be dragging down the rest. So that'll be a big red flag of everyone confirming a weekly downtrend. That means we may have more downsides to come. So we'll see about that. And Meta. Meta is really far from its weekly downtrend. You can see for that pivot, we are 7% away from that level. So we don't have to worry about that at the moment. So let's go to the daily. And daily chart bounced exactly off of that megaphone pattern we have been looking at. Up to resistance and support. We have tested again today. Well, that is a daily downtrend confirmed, but so choppy that these trends are not as valid for me on Meta. So we'll see if it bounces from here tomorrow. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow for more updates.